I'm about 18 miles into the route on the gravel section. Beautiful morning. It's not too hot, not too windy. Had a tailwind all the way down the freeway. We are on the shoulder for about 13 miles. Wasn't really bad. Wasn't a whole lot of traffic out early. It is just a gorgeous morning. Fantastic views of the mountains in front of me. Riding through the desert. This road has a couple sandy spots, but really they haven't been that bad. Now I'm on a nice long straightaway. So, day one, depending on how things go, it's only, 7:45 a.m. We started at 6, 18 miles. Probably slow down from here, I imagine, just because we're on the gravel now. So my goal today is probably get to the Burro Campground, which is at mile 80. Depending on what time I get there, I may continue on towards Bagdad, but I'm planning on taking it really slow today. Today and tomorrow, I think, is the most significant amount of climbing overall, because we have to get up to Flagstaff. So we started at the Colorado River, so like less than 1,000 feet, and going up close to 9,000 feet with a lot of ups and downs in between there. So, but yeah, so far I'm really enjoying the ride. It's hasn't been hard yet. One kind of punchy hill right when you got onto the gravel, and then it's just kind of been rolling with a couple of sandy sections. But yeah, so far I'm enjoying the ride, and catch up to you a little bit later. Whew, about 36 miles in. It's a little after 10 a.m. That section back there was pretty tough. It was deep sand. And the problem was I was trying to follow tracks, and that worked for the most part, but there were some sections where the ground looked solid, and then I'd hit it and my wheel would break the crust and sink right into it. So there were several spots where I had to put a foot down and push myself over to a better line. Not a lot of actually I haven't done really any hike-a-bike yet, except for, you know, trying to get to a better line for the sand. So I was able to ride through just about all of it. This road looks like it should be really fun to ride, but with the sand it's making it kind of tough. So not making as good a time as I thought I would on this section. But getting up into the mountains, they were quite a bit ways in the distance, and now they're just off to my left. Whoops, little bump. So far having a pretty good ride. I've gone through 3 32-ounce bottles of water already. The temperature's up at, let's see, 84. It was in the 90s a little while ago, but it's cooled off as I go up. Wind hasn't been too bad, mostly cross tail. Feels like a little bit of a headwind right now. But yeah, feeling good, enjoying the ride. Very scenic as I expected it would be, but I am looking forward to getting out of the desert and getting up into the mountains. Both just for the cooler temperatures and trees, a little bit of shade would be nice. So that's where I'm at. I'm just gonna keep on pedaling. It's a beautiful morning. All right, see ya. Well, that last little bit took it all out of me. I can hear it in my voice. I think the heat got to me. So I'm about 15 miles from Burro Creek Campground, which is where I had planned to stop for the night. But it's only like 1:40, so it's pretty early. I think it's all uphill though to the campground. So I think I'll probably still plan on staying there for tonight. I was thinking I might push to Bagdad. That was before I hit a wall. Started a little bit of a climb and just lost all of my power. I think it's the heat. It's in the 90s. There is a breeze blowing, so if I stop, it's a tailwind. So when you're riding, you don't feel the breeze at all. You just have the heat beating down on you. So stopped, set up my chair, and I'm just cooling down, rehydrating, kind of doing a reset. No hurry to get to the campground. I got plenty of time. So I'm just set up under a tree in the shade and just relaxing. So I'll probably hang out here for an hour or so until I start feeling better. I had an orange and an apple, and I'm just drinking some fluids. So should be fairly well hydrated by the time I leave here. Sweating, so I'm not sweating is good, so I'm not it's not heat exhaustion or anything. But it probably that was probably coming on because I think it's definitely the heat that was getting to me. Took my shoes off, put my sandals on to let the cool breeze blow through my toes, and that certainly helped a lot. Almost instantly. It's amazing how quick I started feeling better after that. Yeah, I'm just going to hang out here, and once I start feeling better, I'll head up the hill. But so far, the ride has been great. There's a really long, fast descent. I was doing 20 to 25 miles an hour down that for miles and miles. I think that's what put me ahead of schedule. So now it's just time to just kind of reset. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Good morning, day 2 of the ride across Arizona. Not gonna lie, yesterday was brutal. It really wore me out. It was hot. I went through quite a bit of water. Decided to stop about 10 miles from the turn to Bagdad on Arizona 93. Set up my camp and get some rest for the night. I wasn't cramping. I was drinking the LMNT, which is an electrolyte mix, and it works really, really well. So the back of my left knee is a little sore. One of the tendons is tight, but other than that, physically I feel okay. Just a little tired. I didn't sleep super well last night. Got about close to 7.5 hours of sleep or so. I woke up about 5:30 this morning, packed my camp up, and now I'm ready to get back on the road. I'm hoping today isn't quite as hot as it was yesterday, but in any case, I'm not going to go as far or as fast as I did yesterday. I think I need recovery time, refill with water at Bagdad, and make sure that I'm hydrating really well. So probably a shorter day, maybe 50 or 60 miles. I'd like to find some place with some water to camp by, so I'm fully stocked on water, because yesterday that was definitely a big concern. It's this first day. I knew it was going to be brutal. It's a lot of climbing. The heat is really what got me yesterday. When I got down to Burro Creek, it's a dry creek. There's no water there, but I think it was well over 100. It was, in the morning I was doing great. The first 60 miles I put in really fast. I was feeling good. I stopped for lunch, had a big burrito that I purchased in Needles, and a bean, rice, and green chili burrito. It was really good, but I think it might have been the combination of my body trying to process my lunch, the heat, and as soon as you cross that point, it's like a 13-mile climb, and with some really punchy, steep slopes. I think there were 10-12% in a couple. They weren't very long, but the way I was feeling, I just couldn't ride up them. I had no power. So I wound up doing a lot of hike-a-bike, and then I would stop and look for shade. I pulled out my Helionox Chair Zero and rested in the shade several times for extended periods of time. I think the first one I was there for about an hour, and then the next one, I think I actually tried to take a nap to recover. I couldn't fall asleep though, and I was probably there for a couple hours. So I think at the bottom I was at mile 63, 60, something like that, and that was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then between the heat and not being able to ride, I only made it to just short of mile 70. So, yeah, it was rough. It was a rough day, but the scenery is still beautiful. I'm liking the route. It's just, I wish there was, more water sources at the beginning, and the temperature certainly didn't help. So hopefully, like I said, today is a little easier in terms of the heat. Yeah, my plan is to ride slower. I'm riding this, not racing this, so I don't have any expectation on a really fast finishing time. My camp is all set up, and I'm ready to get on the bike. And that's it for this morning. Hopefully, I have a better day today, and enjoy the ride. So, talk to you guys later. Wow, what a day! So, I got up this morning and was still pretty dehydrated. The climb, I still had a pretty significant 3-mile climb to get out of the area that I was in, and then it was a pretty fast descent down to Arizona 93. And at that point, I was looking at the climb that was ahead of me to get towards Bagdad and evaluating how I was feeling. And I decided that with the dehydration from yesterday, that I really needed to just take a rest day to reset. So I went down to the Burro Creek Campground, and I've been here pretty much all day. I think I got here around 10:30ish this morning, and I've been hydrating and eating, trying to get my calories up and get some fluids back in me. I was pretty dehydrated. So I'm feeling better now. I finally was able to pee, which is a good sign. So I wasn't peeing this morning, which is a bad sign. And I think I'll be well hydrated by tomorrow morning. I'll have some water in my tent with me, with some electrolyte mix in it. And yeah, so disappointing day in terms of how I was feeling. Yesterday just really took way too much out of me. So kind of listening to my body and how I was feeling, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to get on the road and have a better day. I don't think there's the kinds of climbs that we had on the first day going in towards Baghdad. I could be wrong, but I don't think there are. I'm not familiar with the course after Baghdad, but the Heart of Arizona Century road race, or road ride, goes through Baghdad, so I am familiar with that road. So yeah, so now I'm going to get in my tent. It's still a little early. It's only about 6:45, but it's pretty windy out, and I think I'm just going to lay down, maybe read a book on my Kindle, and relax before I go to sleep. So yeah, day 2, only about 12 miles. It is what it is. Good morning, day 3 of the ride across Arizona. Feeling pretty good this morning. I slept really well. I think I'm fully hydrated. Nice clear pee color finally. I was a little worried yesterday because it took me a while for my first pee. But yeah, it's feeling good this morning. I am having some pain in the back of my left knee, one of the tendons. I think it was from the hike-a-bike. There were several hills where I was on my tiptoes trying to push up really steep sections. So hopefully that clears up today. I'm expecting to be able to ride a lot more today and a lot less hike-a-bike. Yeah, it's about 5:30 in the morning. Packing up my camp now, got about halfway through, and figured I'd just give a quick update before I hop on the bike and head up the hill. It's a little bit of a climb out of the campground, and then long, slow, 4 to 6% climb up to Bagdad, is my understanding. So I'll restock in Bagdad, maybe get a cup of coffee, and then today's going to be a shorter day too. I'll probably stop sometime in the afternoon and set up camp someplace, but I'm not in a big rush, so I'd rather make sure that I'm fully back to riding condition, and hopefully the knee or that tendon loosens up. It got kind of tight last night. But yeah, so far it's a beautiful morning. It's brisk out down by the creek. There is water in the creek, but it's a good distance away. I'm not going to walk down to it. That's the Burro Creek down there. You can see the bridge for the highway back there on 93. And then the campground itself is spread out really nicely. The sites are pretty far apart, covered. So I was in the shade yesterday while I was trying to recover myself. And then with my bike. So yeah, that's about it. I'll talk to you guys later when I'm a little farther along. Well, I'm about 6.5, 7 miles in to day 3, slowly climbing up the hill on 93. Traffic hasn't been too bad. I've already gone through about close to 64 ounces of water. So I'm on my second bottle of the morning. I'm trying to stay hydrated today. So it's not that far to Baghdad, and I left with a pretty full load, so almost 2 gallons. So the bike's a little heavy, but I'd rather it be heavy and me stay hydrated than wind up in a situation like I was in on the first day where I got super dehydrated. I don't know how well that came through, but you can see forever. It's a really nice morning. It's not too windy. I don't know if it's going to get windier later. Hopefully it's another tailwind. But yeah, the morning so far is going good. The back of my knee is still sore, but it's not getting any worse that I can tell, so all good. So I just got out of Baghdad, spent over an hour there having lunch, and then stopped at the dashes and stocked up on fluids. Decided to bring an extra gallon with me after yesterday's, or the first day's nonsense. I'm about 34 miles in, and my plan is to go maybe another 20 miles, 25 miles, in around there. I'm not going to push it really hard. I think I still need to recover from the first day, because I was definitely way dehydrated. The plan today is, 50, maybe 60 miles. If I decide that I'm tired before then and I find some place that has water, then I'll probably set up camp right there. Trees! Woo! Good morning. Day 4. I went about 50 miles yesterday, so total about 127 so far. Wild camp last night in the middle of nowhere. Slept decently. I have a hole in my air mattress that woke me up a couple times. I had to put some more air in it. So when I get to a hotel, I'll stick it in a shower and see if I can find a hole. I'm at the top of a large hill now, so I have a good descent coming up in front of me. Take a look. You can see Mount Humphreys over there where Flagstaff is. So it looks like the rest of this morning is going to be not quite so hard as it was the past couple days. At least that's what I'm hoping. But otherwise, you know, I'm enjoying the ride. It's a pretty ride. This road is nice, smooth, fairly smooth. And climbs that have been short so far, and now I'm ready for this descent. I'm really ready, hoping to maybe recover some. I don't know how far it is to Seligman. I'll have to check, but I'll probably I'm definitely going to eat there. Depending on what time I get there, I might also just decide to call it an early day and camp at the KOA, or might even splurge for a hotel. I don't know. We'll see how I feel when I get there. But yeah, day 4. I think I'm about 30 miles or so out of Seligman. Maybe a little farther, maybe 35. I don't know. I'll stop here in a little bit and check my distances. It was a nice descent this morning. A little bit of a climb first thing, and then really long descent. Then I hit some nice smooth gravel. It didn't have a whole lot of grade. It was mostly 0, 1 up, 1 down. Made for some nice riding this morning. Oh, so I'm about 30 miles from Seligman, maybe. It's hot. Heat is definitely an issue on this route. Heat and water sources. So there was a creek back there, but it was dry. I thought that it had water in it. It does not. So I'm down to a little under 64 ounces to get me 30 miles, which normally wouldn't be an issue at all, except that I'm already kind of deprived on hydration, so the body's wanting to drink, and I know that I don't have enough to chug some water and make it 30 miles. So I'm hoping that it's mostly descent, so I can let the bike do the work for me. Like right now, I'm on a nice little descent, but you know, there have been some punchy climbs through here, you know, getting up to 8–10%. My plan, Seligman is about 70 miles for the day, and I'm gonna call that good. I know there's a KOA, but honestly, at this point I need a shower, and I'd like to rinse all my clothes out, have a good meal. So I'm gonna check and see if there's a hotel available, and you know, hopefully finish recovering from that first day. I think I recovered fairly well yet on that second day. Yesterday took a bit out of me because of the heat and the climbs. Today has been hot, but this morning I didn't really sweat a whole lot because it was cool, and I was monitoring my effort pretty well. So that's the plan. Just chugging along. Hope to get there fairly quickly. Good morning, day 5, the ride across Arizona. I just left Seligman, which is at about mile 200. Day 5, so only about 50 miles a day averaging. But Tuesday, second day, was pretty much a rest day. I only went 12 miles. Have a little bit of pavement before getting back on gravel. I stayed the night in a motel in Seligman. Had a good dinner last night. Great breakfast this morning. I have a breakfast burrito to go that I'll have for lunch in a few hours. Fully stocked, 2 gallons of water. I think I have maybe 60-ish miles to Williams, and that's where I'm planning on spending the night. I got another hotel there. Timing wise and the distance, I think that made sense. Anyway, I'm planning on just taking a slow ride today, not going too fast. Got all day to get to Williams and just enjoying the ride. It's a pretty desolate country out here. There's no trees. I'm right by the trains. Here comes one now. Alright, lots of trains last night. Some of them are really, really long, with engines in the middle and at the end, both ends. Should invest in BNSF. They're obviously doing a good business. Oh, a little 4% climb. Just trying to take it easy this morning. So that's the plan for the day. Ciao. Wow, today is going so much better. I'm about 30 miles in, 60 miles is the total, so I'm going to get into Williams kind of early, which is fine. I'm not racing, so beautiful remote country. Came across this really cool stone building. Just imagine all the work it would have taken to get all those stones shaped and placed. The old timers really worked hard. Yeah, so far I'm enjoying the scenery up in the junipers. Figure I'll get to Williams, at this rate. It feels like I have a bit of a headwind right now, but I'll still get there fairly early today and have another good meal. I think the dinner last night and breakfast this morning really helped in terms of my energy levels and overall attitude. I'm actually feeling really good on the bike right now. So short day today. Maybe I'll put in some miles tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, good times. Good morning. It's Saturday, so day 6. I just left Williams. I'm by their reservoir right now. It's a very pretty dam. You can see it's quite windy out. There's a wind advisory. Let me put this back. But it feels like a crosswind right now. At some point I'm going to turn towards Flagstaff and then it'll become a tailwind. Slept all right last night, not great. I seem to be sleeping better when I'm out camping than I am when I'm in a hotel room for some reason. Not feeling quite as rested as I'd like to be, but we'll see how the day goes. My hope is to get somewhere south of Flagstaff. Stopped in town and had a good breakfast, an omelet with some hash browns and toast, and then got a burrito to go with banana. And that should get me to Flag, and I'll resupply when I get there. It's I think it's about 40-ish miles to Flag, and then I'm just going to keep going and wild camp someplace south of there. So yeah, that's the plan for today. End of day 6. I just set up my camp. I'm out in the wilderness. It's Saturday, so I'm dealing with all kinds of ATVs coming by, raising up dust. It was a long ride today. It's windy, very windy today. Made for some hard riding. Tailwind in some portions, but when it was a headwind, boy, that was brutal. It was hard. A lot of climbing. 77 miles today, so you know, I do better when it's not quite so hot, and it was definitely cooler today, so I enjoyed the ride. I only went through about a gallon of water, so I still have a gallon left to get me through to Happy Jack tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly how far that is, maybe 10 or 20 miles. But I should have plenty of water, so I'm not really worried about it. So tent set up. I'll have some dinner here in a few minutes. Planning to have some hot ramen soup. Ate pretty good today. Overall, I think today was pretty successful. Yeah, that's about it. It's a nice evening. It's about 6 o'clock. So a little early. The sun's going to go down in an hour or so, and I'll go right to bed. So I'll be curious to see what time the ATVs start coming by in the morning, but there have been a bunch of them in big groups, and I just pulled over to the side of the road and stopped when the groups would come by. Good day, very scenic. I went through Flagstaff. I didn't capture any video of that, and I probably should have. Hit the chevron that's across from Fort Tuttle, and had lunch there. So ate my breakfast burrito on the way to Flagstaff. There's some more still coming by, raising dust. That's about it. Talk to you later. Morning, day 7, Sunday. Just finished packing up my camp, got my bike all squared away, and getting ready to get back on the trail. Wasn't as cold as I expected last night, but it sure was windy all night. But I can hear the wind in the trees still, but it's not too bad down here. Whoa. Holy cow, is this hard. Wow, it is blowing like crazy. Morning. It's Monday, day 8. I was hoping to actually do this ride in 8 to 10 days, but now it's looking like it's going to be more like 10 to 12 days. This wind is just brutal. I slept at a small campground off the 300 last night. It was got a little chilly at night, and the wind just was howling most of the night. That kept me up for a while. Otherwise, I guess I slept all right. So my plan today is to resupply in Forest Lakes. The store opens at 8. It's a little after 7 now. I have 13 miles, so I should get there by the time it opens. And then head over to Show Low. I'm going to spend the night in Show Low. I'm going to trade out that air mattress that's leaking with one that I know is good. And so then I'll be able to have some good night's sleep. From Show Low, it's only 140 miles to the finish. So, but there's a pretty significant climb in there. Couple significant climbs actually. I think I have about 9,000 feet of elevation gain left. So I've done about 31,000 feet of climbing so far. Yeah, hard ride. So I'll resupply again in Show Low, and then 140 miles for me. That's probably going to be 3 days, not 2 days. I might try to do 70 miles tomorrow, and then break up the next 2 into 2 nights. But I'll see how I feel and see how far I get. Yeah, don't know how well the GoPro will capture this vista, but I'm standing on the edge of the Mogollon Rim, just past the 260 at one of the scenic outlooks. See the top of the rim there. All right, so I'm gonna get back on the bike, head over to Forest Lakes. Talk to y'all later. You know you're high up when you see aspens. Just a little bit of black top on the way over to Forest Lakes. Just stopped at Forest Lakes to resupply. There used to be a cafe there, and the guy made great breakfast burritos, but he retired. So no breakfast burrito for me today. Dang it. I was really looking forward to that. So I had a couple cold sandwiches instead, a little cake, and filled all of my water bottles, and got a sandwich for lunch with a pickle, some corn chips. I should be set for lunch. I think I have about 52 miles to Show Low from here. I could be wrong. So I should get there sometime this afternoon. And like I said, I'm planning on just staying there tonight, so I should have a good recovery tonight. Anyway, other than the wind, it's a nice morning. It's about 56 degrees out, so nice and brisk. Keep me cooled down. The wind is shifting in all directions, so I had a tailwind going into Forest Lakes, and now it's more of a cross headwind, but it seems to be shifting the cross from right to left, so it'll go right and then right in front of me and then left, just back and forth. Makes it hard, but beautiful morning. Hopefully I don't have a lot of traffic today. Yeah, I'll just keep riding. Well, I guess I'm out. I was just coming down a little chunky descent. It really wasn't as bad as some of the other sections I've gone down. There's definitely some rocks there, but my rear wheel hit something and split the rim in half. So you can see tires off, and then right there yeah, so I don't have a rear wheel anymore. Luckily I'm only about 34 miles from Show Low, so my wife's gonna jump in the car and come pick me up. But so what am I? I'm less than 200 miles from the finish. Once I got to Show Low, I think I had 140 left. But that's kind of moot now. I can't ride it with no wheel, and of course this is not a standard wheel. It's a it's for the Gates belt drive. So really I need a new rim and have the wheel rebuilt, and that's gonna take a little bit of time. So it'll be ready before the Tour Divide. I think I'll do more research on wheel sizes or wheel durability. I've never had a carbon rim fail me before. Had plenty of aluminum rims fail me, but this is the first carbon rim, and it's brand new. I just put it on a few months ago, so yeah, I'm really disappointed in that. Don't know what else to say about that, but anyway, it was a beautiful ride. It was hard. I definitely got dehydrated in places. I think I recovered well. In terms of Tour Divide training, I think mentally I did well. Physically, I still need some work to do, but I'm coming along day by day. So yeah, I guess that's it for now. This ride's over, and I'll just be heading home. What? Day 9? To be honest, I'm filming this quite a bit after the ride across Arizona. When I was sitting after my wheel broke, waiting for my wife to pick me up, I was thinking about the rules, and there is a supported category. So if you get into a car for any reason during the ride, you become supported. So I had to get my broken bike back to Sholo, so I was going to get into a car and have my Niner sitting at home. So I thought, well, what if Craig, the organizer of the ride, lets me swap bikes? So I reached out to Craig, let him know that I had a catastrophic rear tire or rear wheel failure, and asked him if I'd be allowed to switch bikes, and he said sure. So it had been a while since I've ridden since I rode the Niner, since I was focusing mostly on the commotion, getting ready for the Tour Divide. And anyway, Craig said sure, you can switch bikes. So when I got home, I worked on some minor maintenance on my Niner, lubing the chain, adding some sealant to the tires, just making sure that it was ready to go, swap some bags over. But since I was in a supported category now, I didn't have to carry all of my camping stuff. So the Niner by itself is about 10 pounds lighter than my CoMotion, just the bike itself. So I knew I'd be able to make a lot better time just riding the Niner. So the next morning I had my son drop me off where the wheel failure occurred, and picked up the ride on an unloaded Niner Air 9 RDO. Made really good time into Sholo. I got there I don't know, late morning. Swung by Cyclemania. I'd noticed that the rear wheel was wobbling, and the shifting wasn't quite right. It was skipping, which is weird because I have Di2 shifting, which is normally rock solid. So I stopped by Cyclemania, and Mike Godwin put it up on the stand. Tried to true the wheel as best he could, but I think it's going to need to be rebuilt. It's just the tensioning is just not right on it, so that's fine. He got it as straight as he could, and then he put a new chain on. And before the ride, he had let everyone know that he wouldn't be charging for his service or for minor or smaller repair parts. So sure enough, he didn't charge me anything. So thank you so much, Mike from Cyclemania. You guys rock. So by the time I left, I was there for maybe an hour or so, I don't know. And then I swung by Bandito's Mexican restaurant on the way out of town to get a couple burritos, one for lunch and one for later. Unfortunately, it was right around 11:30-ish, so had a little bit of a delay waiting for my food. I ate one for lunch right there, and then made my way over to Porter Mountain. The bike was running really good. Didn't have any problems getting up and riding up toward sunrise. A long climb. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage since I didn't know how to mount my GoPro on my Niner. I hadn't done that before, so I didn't bring it with me. So I don't have any footage from day 9 or 10. My plan, you know, knowing that I was in that my Niner would be much faster than my co-motion, especially unloaded. I wanted to get 110 miles, which would have put me on the climb up to Big Lake. And when I hit the pavement going down to Springerville, Eager area, I texted my wife and let her know that I hit pavement, so she was going to come pick me up. And she started driving, and she caught up to me about 109 miles into the ride, just after I turned on, maybe a mile after I turned on to the road going up to Big Lake. So overall, day 9 was really successful. I had a good day on the bike, 109 miles with quite a bit of climbing. Feeling good. Alright, so day 10, final day. Had about 75 miles to get to the finish. Again, I didn't have my GoPro with me on day 10, so didn't really capture any footage along the way, unfortunately. But started with a big climb up to the Big Lake area. Took a while, the wind was blowing, so it would be a headwind for a while, tailwind, crosswind. It was going in all directions. Or actually I was, because there were switchbacks.
So I took my time getting up to the top. I figured, you know, 75 miles wasn't, I was expecting to finish maybe in early afternoon. So my wife was still working, so my son actually dropped me off where my wife had picked me up the day before. And then I started going up that climb. And then shortly after turning onto gravel, my rear wheel started to feel kind of spongy. So I stopped and put air in it, and that became kind of a recurring theme. Just I couldn't see where anything was leaking. I did pour some water on it. So when I got to Big Lake, there was a water station. So I submerged the wheel, and it looked like air was coming out of the valve stem, so the nut wasn't tight enough. So I tightened that up, and I didn't really check the rest of the wheel, which was bad on my part. And started riding, and I got maybe 5 miles, and it started feeling really spongy again. So I stopped and put a tube into it because I was tired of pumping it up all the time. Inflated it to about 30 pounds and started riding gravel. Yeah, I was on a fast descent, and all of a sudden I heard a shotgun blast, and that rear tire was flat again instantly. So I came to a stop, and I was pretty frustrated at that point. And I only had the one tube with me, which was a mistake. So I was way out in the boonies. I didn't have any cell service, but I did have my Garmin GPS Map 66i, which has inReach functionality. So I sent a message to my son. It does have two-way satellite messaging, and asked him to run by Cyclemania and get a couple tubes for me. And then I was maybe 30 miles into the ride at this point, and it was gonna be a long drive for him. So I just started to hike a bike with the flat wheel, and it took a good hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe longer, for him to reach me. And when he got there, I pulled the rubber off the rim and kind of went around looking to see what happened, because that shotgun blast, you know, that only happens when the tube blows out of the tire, which was weird. And sure enough, I found a split at the seam between the rim and the rubber. And I think what happened was I must have had a rock strike when the tire was low that damaged that portion of the rubber, but it was just enough to leak. And then when I put that tube in with the pressure, that kind of caused that weak area to fail and caused the tear in the tire. It was a Victoria Mescal tan wall, which is intended for cross-country racing. So it's a lighter, less durable tire. The black Mescals are really good for durability, but the tan ones, you know, I had some issues with sealant seeping through, and then, you know, that tear in the sidewall. So I used part of the box that one of the tubes came in to boot that tear, and that was good enough to get me to the finish. But you know, that wasn't the end of the story. So at that point, you know, I was only, you know, 20 miles to the finish, maybe. Didn't make sense for my son to go all the way home and then drive back to pick me up. So he was leapfrogging me as I was riding. And when we got to the big descent going down to the Blue River, he had a flat in our Jeep Cherokee. Front passenger tire went flat. So we stopped to fix that. But yeah, it was like somebody didn't want me to finish this ride. just all kinds of issues. So fixed that and finished in the early evening. It was a long gradual climb after that descent, but wasn't really too bad. So yeah, so 10 days from the California border to the New Mexico border, with 2 days that I would call more recovery, or had the recovery day the second day, and then when the wheel failed, that was a short day too. So I think I could have finished it in maybe a little over 8 days. I don't know. I did also think about why that rim failed, and my theory is that going through the desert, there was a lot of cactus, and I must have punctured that tire several times, just enough where the sealant was doing its job, but every time that happens I was losing a little bit of pressure, and I made the mistake of not checking my tire pressure every morning. So I think that's what did it to me. The tire didn't have enough air in it, and when I started hitting that chunky section, I just hit a rock that went down and hit the carbon rim just right, and caused the failure. So I'm running Cush cores now, which are foam liner that help prevent damage from rock strikes. So hopefully I don't have that kind of issue ever again. But I'm also going to be much more diligent about checking my tire pressure. So yeah, it was overall a good ride. It was a good experience, and I think it was a good prep ride for the Tour Divide. Yeah, got my finisher's jersey, or finisher's t-shirt, which looks awesome, and looking forward to trying that again. If I do it again, I'll probably do it supported end to end, just because there's so many sections where there's not a lot of water options, and I'd rather have somebody there to give me fluids when I need fluids, instead of risking the kind of dehydration that I went through on day one. But overall, it's a great course, beautiful, scenic. Loved all the trains. I highly recommend the ride if you're thinking about doing a long gravel ride. Just remember the water along the California side of the course is kind of sparse. So, but yeah, that's it. I'll talk to you guys on the next ride.